All right, recording. Cool. This is part 2. Editing, Bridget. Okay, so I'm back with Charles, and we're going to be talking about the next Dr. Dolittle movie.
Just Dolittle.
Just Dolittle. They dropped the doctor. Is he not accredited?
That's a good question. That's a good question.
Dolittle came out in 2020. The director is Stephen Gahan? Maybe Goen? I don't know. I obviously did not look that up.
I can't remember. I should know this. I know his name.
I oftentimes try to look up pronunciations for names and then I still butcher them. I'm doing my best. So, written by Stephen Gahan, Dan Gregor, Doug Mann, Thomas Shepard. Okay, once you have like 4 writers, I know that there were like 12 writers and most of them are not attributed, and it was in development hell, and then possibly somebody ghost wrote it, and
yes,
it's not a good sign when you have 4 writers that are credited in the front.
Yeah,
because you know there's more behind that.
Yeah. I have more to say about that in a minute. We'll get there.
Yeah. No, just feel free to interject when needed.
Yeah. Well, like Seth Rogen, and I'm trying to remember one other person. They were brought in to help punch up the jokes.
I could see that. Yeah, that feels very Seth Rogen. I think he's funny, but yeah, I could feel his influence. I guess just a quick aside. I decided not to do the 1998 Eddie Murphy movie, Dr. Dolittle, which is what I remember from my childhood. Mostly because everybody knows it. Most people still like it. It mostly still holds up.
For the most part, yeah.
In fact, after the 1967 movie, I just decided to watch it. And I'm like, okay, most of this holds up. Some of it's problematic. Now I'm an adult and I recognize most of the voice actors, so it's kind of extra funny. It's like, oh, okay. I recognize these comedians now. But yeah, we're not covering that one because that one's too easy, okay? We had to cover something that I think nobody has seen.
They've heard of it.
Yeah, you heard that there was going to be a Dr. Dolittle movie with RDJ, but here we are. So this is a physician who can talk to animals embarks on an adventure to find a legendary island with a young apprentice and a crew of strange pets. Calling them pets feels derogatory for some reason.
It does, especially after what we talked about in part 1.
Exactly. Ratings, IMDb, it got a 5.6 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes, 15% tomato meter and a 76% popcorn meter. I'm kind of surprised at the 76. The 15 is not surprising.
Yeah, the 15 is not surprising at all. Not at all for this. For this movie.
I hope you guys can feel the temperature of the room right now. This is not a movie we're gonna love.
No, it's getting very cold in here.
Brr. So Dr. Dolittle, he lives in solitude after his adventurer wife Lily was lost at sea. She doesn't appear at the end. Okay, I'm going to skip to the end right now. She doesn't appear at the end. I thought she would. I thought that was the setup. We're going to magically get reunited. She doesn't show up again. He's just sad.
Oh, and we don't actually see her in person. We only see her animated, right?
Animated and in pictures.
In pictures. Animated in pictures.
Yeah.
So she might...
Hopefully she got her day rate.
Yeah. If you've ever heard the term, it's like it really felt like she got fridged.
Yeah, Lily got fridged before the movie even started. That's how advanced they are. So Dr. Dolittle does stay plenty busy with all his animal friends in his manor behind these high walls. But when Queen Victoria falls ill, the deed to his house is in jeopardy because she will, once she dies, he doesn't have this house anymore. I think he was gifted the house because he was a friend to the royalty.
Right.
Before he secluded himself.
He and his wife together went on adventures, and because they did all this great stuff, they created this. They wound up creating this, not resort, but basically
like
the
sanctuary.
Sanctuary, and so the queen gifted to them as a gift for all the great work they did on behalf of the kingdom and the animals of the kingdom. Right.
But he reneges on that gift because he closes the gates and doesn't let any people in anymore. And now that she's on her deathbed, she's basically like, I'm going to yoink this deed out from under you as soon as I croak if you don't help me. So there we are.
Yep.
We're introduced to 2020's version of Tommy Stubbins. If you remember, he was the kid who basically did nothing in the first movie. He was just the kid self-insert he didn't accomplish anything. He brought a sick duck to him in the first movie. In this one, Tommy Stubbins is out hunting with his father, and you can tell that he's not into it because he's actually looking at the animals and feeling empathy and really not wanting to size up this deer in the rifle scope. So his father makes him hunt the deer, but he jerks and he accidentally hits a squirrel. So he brings the squirrel to the doctor to help. And the doctor does help the squirrel after a lot of back and forth and really awkward Robert Downey Welsh accented lines. I'm skipping a lot, but like his introduction was very awkward because he starts out, we as the audience are introduced to him by him like barking and snorting and growling to the animals because that's how he talks to them. That's how he, in every version except for the Eddie Murphy version, the doctor speaks the language of the animals, not just they magically understand him.
Right.
I'm not sure what I prefer.
Well, I mean, in this version, it was very interesting because they what they do is like he's barking, and then what they did early on is the camera would often pan. Mm-hmm. It would and often usually what it would do is it would move through a surface. So an example is like it would move through the window, so that he's operating on the squirrel, so he's barking, and as the camera passes through the glass, that's when we start to hear all the animals in English.
Yeah, so that is kind of neat that they did that in this one, because when we were, and the first time he's introduced in his study or whatever, they're slowly zooming in on him, and he's barking and growling, and I'm like, oh my God, please don't do this the whole movie. And it was so uncomfortable because we're getting closer and closer and closer to his mouth, and then you hear him speaking English, and you hear the animals speaking English. And they did that in the operating room as well. Yeah, yes. Which, okay, I can give them some style points for this. But it felt really uncomfortable really quick. So the doctor fixes the squirrel up. Guess he was fine. But the squirrel vows his revenge on the boy. A plot that is never again returned to unless it's just the squirrel calling the boy murderer randomly.
Throughout the entire movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the squirrel is slightly black coded a little bit.
I couldn't tell who. I forgot to write down who did all the voices here. I should look that up because
it's a role that would have probably gone to Chris Rock if Chris Rock was available.
Absolutely would have gone to Chris Rock. I think it was Chris Rock coded.
Yeah, because you just see it the entire time. It's like that boy tried to murder me. Like that. I'm like in nowhere close to the cadence of the squirrel.
Yeah, but it was a lot.
It was a lot that he's just scared of this human.
But he brought him to the doctor to be helped. You didn't have to do that. It was an accident.
Right.
Let me see. I don't know what the squirrel's name is. Don't give me the names. Give me the animals.
But it's also kind of funny because it's like so like going back to the slight comparison to the first movie is like the first movie really kind of acknowledges that like the animal kingdom works in a way where like yes, people are going to eat meat and they're vegetarians and blah blah blah. So it's I mean, on one hand it's kind of funny that the squirrel is like, you're a murderer, but and it's nice that Tommy doesn't want to kill, but the reality is like hunting is a thing.
Yeah.
And
it's part of the food chain, and
in some parts of the world, as much people don't want to like eat animals, like in some parts of the world, like to get their protein, they have to eat animals. Yeah. They have no other option. So it's kind of funny in this world that he's like murderer, and it's like
yeah, but also like in this version of the movie, he's got a polar bear buddy. Like the polar bear is not out there eating biscuits and nuts. Like he's gonna eat meat.
He's gonna eat lots and lots of meat.
Yeah,
like fish. Like where is he eating that meat?
There's a food chain here that's not well explained because otherwise you can't have all these animals interacting with each other. Yeah, so murderer squirrel, that bugged me throughout the whole movie because it was never resolved. They kind of
we'll get there. Well, we'll either get there or we'll just completely forget about it.
And it's okay either way because that's what this movie does. So Dolittle investigates Queen Victoria on her deathbed. It's very suspicious. She was clearly poisoned by somebody. Perhaps someone in the room.
Dum, dum, dum.
And you see him like subtly put a stick bug into like a picture frame. So like the stick bug is going to like check things out for him, which I thought that was a good detail.
Yeah.
But he goes on a journey now to go find the Eden tree. I guess another mythological thing. We're back to mythology. It's kind of funny how the old movie and the new movie kind of bookend each other.
Yeah.
They're both more magical in some ways, and they both have the doctor actually talking to the animals in the animals' own language. So I think it's kind of funny that the Eddie Murphy movie is the outlier for some reason. But yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there. So the Eden tree has fruit that will save the queen. It's magical. Don't question it. But first, in order to find this, he needs to grab the journal of his long lost love, his wife who died at sea, but her father, played inexplicably by Antonio Banderas, because I did not recognize him at all until I saw the credits. He has it locked up in his palace, surrounded by tigers and lions.
Oh my.
Dolittle fights a tiger who needs therapy and eventually grabs the journal, only to have it stolen by rival Dr. Blair, played by Michael Sheen. Blair is definitely a sus doctor, if anything, trying to steal valor, but also trying to be the hero, I guess.
Yes.
More on that later.
Yes.
At this point, Dolittle has a dark night of the soul and gives up. The animals and Stubbins. Oh, Tommy Stubbins is there, by the way. He's also not very useful in this movie. The animals and Tommy Stubbins make him ungive up. I don't remember how. It's not important. They go on a journey and eventually find Eden Tree Island, which is protected by a surly dragon. Again, magic. I need a drink for this next section.
Alrighty, here we go, folks.
Okay, so yeah, he found Eden Tree Island, this mythical island that nobody could possibly find, but here we are. The dragon protects the Eden Tree, and he determines that the dragon is feeling upset because she lost her mate. You see a skull in the corner. That must have been her mate from many years ago, and she's upset about it. And the doctor determines that the dragon is dealing with some gastric distress brought on by depression. Then comes the most mind-boggling scene to be included in a modern movie. The doctor shoves a leek up... I have to pause. So earlier in the operating scene, the duck is established as trying to be helpful and doesn't know what medical equipment is. So the duck, when he says scalpel, the duck grabs a leek or an onion or a whatever. So the duck can never figure out what medical equipment is. And for some reason, he grabs the leek and shoves it up the dragon's butt and pulls out bits of armor and bagpipes that the dragon wasn't able to digest. There's a fart joke in here too. And then my next note is, dear God, why did they do this? Thoughts, concerns?
So it's such a weird scene to watch RDJ like stick his hand up into the anal cavity of a dragon. And also watching the dragon, there's a point where like you see the dragon's eyes and she goes, ooh, and it's just very, very weird because it kind of comes off it's, I don't want to say sexual,
because it's so uncomfortable.
Because it's not, but it goes into a very uncomfortable place of like, especially because like you said, like he just sticks the leek up there. So like the thing about it is like when we go back to him operating on the squirrel earlier, that is like what kind of reactivates his like, I'm gonna be Dr. Dolittle and I'm gonna help and they're pulling out instruments. And here they took no time like there wasn't like a setup of like, well, let's make some instruments out and even for there's literally swords and stuff around and stuff that they literally could have gone like, go heat that up and sterilize it, so I can operate. No, it's
obviously
literally
the dragon could have taken it. She eats full suits of armor.
She does, and he keeps, and it feels it's not that long. But for 45 seconds to a minute. But he just keeps pulling stuff out. So it's like, it's the suit of armor. It's the blah, blah, blah. Like it's a scene that would be like, if she had eaten somebody and like, she had like one piece of armor that was like in her, that she couldn't like get out. that would make sense. But the
Right.
fact that he keeps just pulling stuff out, and it's the silliest. And that fart is like, I mean, because it's like literally the camera is like low on Robert Downey's face, and you just see his hair blow back with the fart, and it's just, and you're like, in your mind, you're like, this is supposed to be for kids. The fart part, that is for kids. All the stuff before the fart part is for the adults.
Yeah.
It's like it would, like, in an alternate reality, this is a category on Pornhub.
I mean, it is. And the fact that he used a vegetable, I mean, that's not a very good tool anyway.
No, especially when he pulls it back out and it's all limp,
Oh,
and it's like
God.
he's waving it around, because implying that
Yeah.
the leek has now gotten wet.
Yeah.
The wet, like, and that was one of those things that was like, that is literally something. I'm like, why would you think that's funny? The leek coming back, I'm like, because it just implies way too many things.
It really does. It's just so painfully uncomfortable. And when I got to that scene, I was like, oh, this is why the movie immediately tanked when it hit the box office.
Yeah. Oh, because one of the things we didn't mention is like, this part is like, it's in the third act, but like, once they land to the island, this has the same problem as the previous movie.
Yeah.
Where like it just burns through it really quickly. It's just like we clearly we need to end this movie now. So it's hilarious to watch, like, it go, like, they land on the island, they fight Michael Sheen's character, they fight the other people, and then they get to the dragon, and now they're like, it feels like the kids' version of Quentin Tarantino and Feet. Like somebody just somebody had a fetish for dragon ass, and they just like, we gotta get to this dragon's ass as quickly as possible.
I mean, okay, it just boggles my mind because we mentioned how there were multiple writers, and there were probably even more writers on top of that we don't even know about, because that's how Hollywood's done. You don't just write a script and boom, it's a movie. Yeah. You get rewrites. Someone else might rewrite you. Someone else might get hired. Someone else might get fired. Yeah, it happens many times. How did this make it through 4+ writers, a studio, a director, even the DP? Why is nobody saying anything?
Well, you got to remember that this is a movie that went through 21 days of 21 days of reshoots.
Well, okay, but a lot of movies go through reshoots. A lot of people try to use that as evidence that that's why it sucks. Sometimes that's a normal part of filmmaking. But in this case, why didn't they just do a different scene? They could have just didn't it could have been like the lion with a thorn in its paw, right?
Right.
Do something like that with a dragon. I'll throw in the budget real quick. I don't have a budget for the 1967 movie. I feel like we don't really have a lot of that data as easily available. The budget for the 2020 movie was $175 million estimated. So the budget was $175 million. The gross from US and Canada was $77. They lost their asses on this movie.
They did. And the thing about it is RDJ was like, one of the things he said about this was that this was very disappointing.
I don't even remember it. I remember seeing the movie advertised a little bit, and then somebody said something about a dragon's ass, and I'm like, that didn't happen.
So RDJ, one of the things he said is that, he spent 4 or 5 years putting this together, and so that it was just very disappointing. And you can kind of, so when you watch the movie, you can kind of see, I feel like there is elements of it that you would understand, especially as Robert Downey Jr. as a father at this point. And making movies, because I think almost every actor usually has at some point a movie they make because they want their kids to see it. Even Raul Julia, the main reason he did Street Fighter was because his kids wanted him to do it. He-Man, Masters of the Universe, the guy that played Skeletor, he did it because his kids loved it. So I think there's a thing that every actor or actress, people want to do it. And when you think about Dr. Dolittle, and when you've seen, for those who have at least seen the 1998 version, but for those that have seen all 3 versions and maybe even read the books and other stuff, you really get why you would want to make this movie. Because if you just say, hey, I want to make a movie about a doctor who talks to animals and talks to animals in their particular language, of most ideas that are pitched to you or that you hear, you're like, usually it's like, that's dumb. But in this case, you're like, oh no, that totally makes sense.
Great kids concept.
It's like, it's a comedy. It's like, there's lots of comedic elements. There's lots of ways to take it. But the thing about it is I feel like that this is well, for one, I think the way it starts off is where it starts off wrong.
Where it starts off?
With killing his wife off screen.
Oh,
it's such a cynical way
just to explain why he's behind the walls.
Why? Oh, he's so mopey, as opposed to like in the book, and as if I talk in part 1, is that Dr. Dolittle just doesn't like people. So you understand why he wanted like Robert Downey Jr. would make this movie. But the thing we forgot to mention earlier, and this is why like he said he wanted to make this movie, but like, why would you want to make a movie where it is a bagpipe that you have to take out of the dragon? Like it's a bagpipe for a dragon that is called Ginkgo Soar. It's incredible. Like the visual of like a bagpipe coming again.
Yeah, it's just rude.
It's just weird.
We've devalued ourselves again by going back to potty humor. And there's so many ways you could have done a scene where you're helping the dragon. You didn't have to go to potty humor. Again, I don't understand how this went through multiple writers, director, actors, etc., 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 and they did this scene.
Yeah, and I think it's just one of those things like they couldn't figure out how to like write jokes for animals.
Yeah,
which is weird because it feels like that you like there are more clever ways to create humor. Also, I think the problem that this movie has is that there's just so many animals.
Yeah, there's a lot of animals in this movie.
Like I was going through. Hold on, let me see if I can find this real quickly.
Find the list.
I just want to get the list of just the voice actors.
Oh my gosh, there's so many voice actors in this movie.
It's so many voice actors, and so like this is insane. Oh, look, I'll just go see if I can go off the top of my head. So it is Rami Malek.
Yes.
Tom Holland.
Yep.
I think is Emma Thompson the bird.
She is the bird.
Emma
She's
Thompson,
Polynesia.
She's Polynesia. John Cena is the polar bear. Jason Mantzoukas is the dragonfly.
Yeah, which when I heard his voice, I was like, "Wait, what's he doing here?"
Yeah, and so like, that's not even I think a third of the voices, and so like, it's just a long list of all these voices, which is also the thing about like, no one cares. Kids do not know who these people are. Even kids who saw Spider-Man probably would not realize that's Tom Holland.
I didn't know that was Tom Holland until I got to the credits.
I did, like the John Cena, like someone like
I didn't know that was John Cena.
The only voices I knew for sure that I was like was Emma Thompson and Jason Mantzoukas, because like his voice is just it's hard not to know.
His voice is very distinct.
It's very distinct, so it's mind-boggling. But I think that's one of the reasons why it went insane, because they really thought like, oh, if we get all these voices, it'll be amazing.
Kumail Nanjiani did a voice. Octavia Spencer did a voice. Ralph Fiennes, Voldemort did a voice.
Yes.
Selena Gomez, Marianne Cotillard. There's so many named actors doing voices. We have plenty of very good voice actors out there who could have done these jobs. But again, in the 1998 one, those were all celebrities and comedians too. So I kind of get it, but also like they really inflated the price tag once you add all these people who you wouldn't know they were even doing the voice.
Right. They don't add anything to it. There's that one guy for Disney who does like the voice of like Pooh and like he does all these voices, and when you see it, it's like you could have just got somebody like that. Because I think the other thing like that they didn't seem to understand is like voice acting is completely different than acting.
Yeah.
In fact, voice acting for a lot of people say is harder. It's the same thing that when they say like comedy is much harder than drama. And I think if you don't respect that, if you only think like, oh, we just put these names in there, people are gonna come, but like if they don't add anything, what's the point?
Yeah, that's a good point to make.
Did you want to go through the top 10 for the box office?
I don't have the top 10. I do want to talk about the box office because this is 2020. This is a COVID era movie.
It is.
And 2020 really threw the wrench in the works for theatrical films. For example, North America's box office revenue was 2.3 billion, which was the lowest box office in 40 years.
Yep.
That's tragic. So people were just not going to the movies. They were not really being released the same way. I mean, they might have been released for like a week and then immediately pulled, brought to streaming instead. So like movies really suffered. So this is movie from that time. I was trying to look up what other kids movies were out this year. I think Soul came out. But I feel like maybe it didn't have a lot of competition and maybe that's why it got, you know, at least some kids, families with kids might have seen the movie. But none of my friends saw this movie.
no, because like, so here's the top 10.
Yeah.
And this includes like a couple of movies that would approach like for kids. So there was Bad Boys for Life.
Oh yeah.
1917. Here's the first kids movie, Sonic the Hedgehog, which was in third place. Domestic.
Yes.
This is all domestically.
And Sonic was good after they fixed the.
Yes, the weird
Yep.
bug-dyed Sonic. Jumanji: The Next Level. Then Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, Birds of Prey, and The Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn.
Yes.
Then we have Dolittle that comes in number 7 with $77 million. And then below that is Little Women, The Invisible Man, The Call of the Wild.
Oh, wow.
And then Onward, that Disney movie that came out also was like, that was number 11, 62, like 61. But that also got released to streaming.
Yeah.
So like you see like in there, because honestly, usually kids movies would do well. So like technically a movie that has that many name actors in it with Robert Downey Jr. talking animals, like in a different world, it would not be number 7. It would be in the top 3 easily. Yeah. But clearly, this wasn't a good movie.
I feel like it didn't market itself as a kid's movie either. I feel like it was marketing based on Robert Downey Jr.'s involvement, and they're looking for like the 30s and 40s and 50-year-olds who just watched him in a bunch of Marvel movies, and they're like, "Yeah, go see this too."
Right.
So it felt very misplaced as to where the audience actually belonged.
Which is ironic because it makes me think of like for Marvel when basically when they sold off their property. And so they had their big hitters like Spider-Man and Fantastic Four and X-Men were at different studios. And when Marvel was trying to figure out how to launch with what they had, that basically like, as iconic as Iron Man and Captain America are in the Marvel universe, they're essentially compared to the X-Men and Fantastic Four and a lot of other characters, they were basically C tier at that point. And so when they were deciding which one of the first movie to make, they gave it to a bunch of kids, and all the kids said they loved Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they figured out that like the kids respond like between Captain America and the Hulk and Iron Man. And the thing about it is when you fast forward and you think about kids, is like no kid was going because of Robert Downey Jr.
Right.
They were going because of Iron Man. If you told kids Iron Man is in Dr. Dolittle, they would go, but you can't market that it's Iron Man because he's not playing Iron Man.
Doing a Welsh accent.
It's doing a Welsh accent. It's Robert Downey Jr. And so, in fact, there's the quote, like I was when we were looking up information, there's a quote where Robert Downey Jr. mentions the fact that like after doing the Marvel movies and talking about that, he felt like he did some of his best work. That maybe he was feeling himself a little bit too much. Okay. And that the fact that this movie did not do well kind of gave him a reset. And he said, and the word he used is like, I'm teachable again.
Oh, interesting.
And so I think it was one of those things of like, as an actor, as a creative, sometimes you do need like your failures to reset you and remind you like how to do the thing and really put yourself in a position where it's like you're not maybe running on autopilot. Because honestly, that's what Dr. Dolittle feels like. Is when you watch the movie, it looks like Robert Downey Jr. is on autopilot doing his Welsh voice. It also feels like sometimes it's like he just watched Pirates of the Caribbean and was like, I'm just going to do a Welsh version of what Johnny Depp did.
Oh, yeah,
Even
just
with
like weirdly eccentric.
weirdly eccentric, and it just doesn't come off. It just does come off. So like, yeah, I'm still surprised that this movie has like 72% audience is like it's positive on this.
I was surprised it wasn't 15% for critics and audience.
But my theory is that often we forget that there are people. So the people who like to comment are motivated to comment,
Yeah.
especially if they like the thing. They're also very kind of like ready to comment when they really hate it. This movie is not a movie that is, as much as we've ragged on it, it's just not a movie you want to hate on.
Yeah.
It's not fun to hate on this movie. It's not bad enough. It's in such a terrible zone of just like mid that is worse. Like sometimes it is better to have a complete failure that is interesting than a mid movie that at no point do you watch it. Because let me ask you this:
Yeah.
Is there anything in this movie that you remember as a camera op, as a DP, like that you went like, wow, that was interesting. That's a cool shot.
Honestly, the only thing I could think of is what we mentioned already in the beginning when they introduced the fact that he's talking to the animals and now we understand the translation.
Yeah.
And the camera moves swiftly through that space and then it changes. That was cool. But other than that, I just felt like I was in a soupy CGI world the whole time. I can't think of any other shots that I liked.
There is more thought put into the silly scene with the seal.
Yeah.
With Dr. Doodle singing to a seal
Yeah.
on a cliff with a beautiful sunset. There was more thought put into that one scene.
Right.
Than this entire $175 million movie. Like,
that's incredible.
Like, put that in perspective of like you had all this money and you don't have one thing that you can remember that is like cool.
It's sad that there's so much work put into a film. CGI, acting, voice acting, sets, multiple locations, like all this stuff. And it's just forgettable. And that's sad. That's honestly really tragic to me. But yeah, I can see what he said about being reset. Because looking back at his filmography, Robert Downey Jr. was just mostly in Marvel properties since 2008. There's a couple outliers. There's Tropic Thunder. There's The Soloist. He was Sherlock Holmes a couple of times. Mostly Iron Man for a lot of this. Mm-hmm. And I have a feeling that as an actor, you want to be able to diversify and not be so typecast and not be so stuck in one thing. So then maybe he was like, oh yeah, I'll do a kid's movie. Oh yeah, I'll be a bit character on Oppenheimer and the Sympathizer TV series. But that's it. His filmography, 2020, Dolittle. 2023, Oppenheimer. 2024, the Sympathizer TV miniseries. Nothing else until he probably reprises his role as not Iron Man in the next MCU movie where he's going to be Doctor Doom for some reason.
Yeah.
So he's back in the trap. Dude, you do some independent films. If you find the funding, we'll make them for you.
Yes, please. Because the thing about it, like he has like so many like iconic roles. Like Chaplin didn't do well, but a lot of people remember Chaplin.
Yeah.
He was like,
but at least you tried.
He tried. He is like one of the most memorable characters in the one season he's in Ally McBeal, and it is so depressing that he didn't come back, but because he was having drug issues and stuff. But like he has less than zero. Like he just has so many things he's done that are iconic, and so it's in some ways it's more disappointing that this character isn't on the level of Iron Man. Or even his take on Sherlock.
Yeah.
Like this, like, in fact, this would have been a great follow-up to, like, those two properties because they really are... It's funny because they're all, like, not just, slightly eccentric, but, like, they're all brilliant characters. It's different takes. So, like, this could have been his third, like, brilliant character. So he's got, like, Tony Stark, brilliant guy. Sherlock Holmes, brilliant detective. Dr. Doodle, yes, eccentric, but a brilliant vet.
Yeah.
And maybe that's really what they should have, like, maybe that's what they didn't realize that they could have leaned into more is like less the eccentric of like, here's your trifecta of like really interesting, iconic, because like Dr. Doodle is less iconic than the other two, but people still read the books. People still remember the books. It's kind of like at a lower level, but it's there.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. I also feel a little bad about it because I like him. I think he is an actor who has range and he has really overcome so much in his real life from, like you said, dealing with drugs and kind of falling off the deep end for a while, but he is one of those success stories that came back. So I just want to keep rooting for him.
Right.
But
so Chris, quick question.
Yeah.
Do you think somebody is ever going to try to make another Dr. Dolittle movie?
Oh, give us 5 or 6 years. Maybe less. We'll see. It'll be recast again, and it'll be whatever that day's stars will be in there, and inexplicably a couple of stars that just didn't have any work. So it'll be a mix of those people.
Yeah. Well, you're right, because it's 2010. So like, if it's 5 or 6, it'd be 10 years. So yes, that in the cycle of life.
Because we had 1967, we had 1998, and then we had 2020. Every 20 to 30 years, give or take.
Yeah.
So we got to accelerate it because of inflation.
And yes, yep. And the fact that like this, the thing about this is that it's forgettable enough and it flopped enough that it would be easy to do this. But the thing I realized is like, he's supposed to retire, and at some point he's old enough that he's going to pass away, unfortunately. But Hayao Miyazaki, like, it's somebody like that's what I think is. I think you need somebody. I think the biggest problem, and then we can end it here because it's long, is, I would say the last thought is, I really think you need somebody who really cares about nature.
Yeah.
And is into it, because I think that's the other problem, is a lot of it is the comedy stuff. But I think the thing is, you really need to lean into this character who really cares about animals and wants to protect animals and wants to protect the rights of animals. That's the thing. Like it's weird because of all of the movies, considering the time we live in, it really technically should be the Robbie Downer, the RDJ version, that probably should have leaned the hardest into the idea of like, here's this guy who has a hard time with people, but like he cares for animals and respects them.
Yeah.
And I think the storyline that comes out of that is more organic and more sincere, and would give you a story that's probably going to be something that like 20, 30 years from now, somebody's going to be showing it to their kids, or some kid is going to be 10 and it's going to stumble across it and go like, oh, this is my favorite movie, because I love the way it talks about animals, because I love animals. And I think that's the thing, is like, you really need to get down to the level of a kid and really think from a kid's perspective how much kids love animals. And for most kids, if you talk to them, they, for the most part, until you grow out, and once you grow out of it, unfortunately, when you're a kid, you really do more often think of animals as people.
Yeah. I could see that for sure, especially when you're talking about your pets, or you're talking about the little creatures you see on the path when you're hiking or something. Kids feel so much more in tuned, and I feel like we lose a lot of that as we get older, I guess. Okay, so I mean, the ending of the movie, turns out we get the elixir from this fruit of the Eden tree. We bring it back. Queen Victoria's saved. Yay! But also, we find out Blair, the doctor that's there, the one who tried to steal the journal, or I think he successfully stole the journal. That guy. He's the one who poisoned her. So the stick bug lets in on the secret. He's like, yeah, I saw him. He's bad. Get him. And that's it. That's the end of the movie.
That's because he left the stick stick character.
Stick bug gets stuck on the
Which again is
picture.
It's such a terrible like writing choice. For any of you out there, screenwriters, I'm gonna tell you right now, that is not a good choice. It is not a strong choice, because he literally just leaves a stick bug, and when he comes back, the stick bug gives him the answers.
Right.
Like Dr. Dolittle does not discover it.
It's not him. Yeah, he's not. It's not an active choice on that. The character didn't do it himself.
He didn't do it himself. He didn't piece the things together. Even when he leaves the stick bug, he just leaves the stick bug.
Yeah.
There's no indication that he realizes like, oh, maybe like I see or hear something.
Yeah. Did he have any suspicions already?
You kinda, because like the dog earlier on sniffs the queen and figures out the poison. Like there's the poison, but there's nothing. So he just happens to come back, and and the character, I think it actually might be Jim Broadbent's character, not Michael Sheen's character, that actually has the poison on him.
Oh,
but he's like, he just happens to have the poison on him, and it's like. It's been weeks.
Why would you have it on you when you're in a room full of other people all investigating why the queen has gotten sick?
It's like you couldn't get they went on a journey and you still have the poison in your pocket.
Yeah.
Like, it just,
again, we wrapped it up as quick as we could at the end because, oops, we spent all this time meandering and now we got to wrap it up.
Yeah, so just it's not fun. Yeah, so yeah.
I think there's a way to do this story better. Again, like I said with the first movie, which I felt needed a lot of cuts and hopefully simplify it to make it a small town doctor taking care of animals. I think this story, even with the espionage and the queen being poisoned, I still think you could have made a good story out of it. But at some point we went off the tracks and we just kept going.
And that's what I feel like that's what happens. They kept going, and then at some point they doubled down and they were like, well, let's go to like we're gonna bring in a completely different director for the reshoots and a different writer, Chris McKay and Jonathan Liebsman, like that's director to do the 20 days of reshoots, like, you know, which is always usually a sign that there's a problem. Like
if you have many days of reshoots or reshoots in general,
that many days of reshoots with a different writer director.
Yeah, that's the indicator right there.
That is the indicator because there, for those who don't know film production, that occasionally happens, but often that's usually like we brought a writer director in or like for 2 or 3 days of reshoots because basically like we're missing key little scenes or moments that we need to fill in. But when you do 21 days, with a different,
is a lot of shooting.
It's a lot of shooting with a different director and writer.
So they were trying to fix things, and they still ended up with this.
Yes, and the fact that like there's when they reported on it, the fact that, and this might be also a problem. Yeah, is that there was no infighting. Like no one fought for like oh, this is not the version of the movie that I envisioned. Oh. Which is a sign. Nobody cared. Nobody cared, or nobody saw something where like, oh, this is worth fighting for. Yeah. You literally made something, saw it, and said like, yeah, it's fine. Go do whatever you want with it. like.
There's something to be said for these kind of movies, and I feel like this happens a lot. Is like studio interference. Sometimes there's a producer, executive producer, a head honcho, a CEO somewhere who's like, I want it to be like this, and then you kind of have to do it because they're paying the bills. Sometimes I wonder when that takes place. Sometimes you find out about it. Sometimes you don't. It could be a little bit of a secret. That's what tanked a lot of movies is like somebody somewhere interfered, had to get their 2 cents in. And that's why we have a metal spider in Wild Wild West.
Right.
Anyway.
Right. But on the other side, there's also been times where like writers or directors have admitted that like if it wasn't for somebody who came in and cared and fought for it. So it's a side of 2 coins. Because like on one hand, at least if we had a mechanical spider level producer, like, then at least we would have had something interesting. Or we would have got also the producer that cared enough that we would have got something that was memorable. Yeah. But since we didn't, like, it just feels like the more I read, like, it's like, no, it just feels like there was no interference by anyone. Like, this was just a train that kept going. There wasn't even one weird producer who always had some idea in the back of their head they had for 20 years and like, you gotta use that.
Yeah, someone who like was sitting on the script for forever, just like passionately, I'm gonna do it like this, and the production design, and I gotta make this movie. This is my magnum opus. Nobody said that.
Because even the dragon, that might have worked if it had always been some weird producer's idea for 20 years about like, I've always wanted to pull something out of a dragon's ass. Because then after 20 years of weirdness, like it would have evolved into something.
But the funny thing is, you know what? I think it just doesn't fit in this movie. Okay, this is the last thing I'm saying about a dragon's ass. But if you put that in the Dungeons and Dragons movie, which was very good, by the way. Yes. Really good movie. If you put that joke in that movie and you had Chris Pine having to dig stuff out of a dragon's ass because, you know, you owed the dragon a favor or something, that would have been kind of funny.
It would kill.
A little inappropriate, but still funny.
It would have killed.
In the kids' movie, it just feels wrong.
It feels.
And I think I'm over the potty humor for the kids.
Yes.
Am I getting old?
No.
I think I just got gray hairs.
No, you're not. No, you're not getting old. Because even kids, I think people overly estimate how much. Yes.
Because they're smarter than you know.
Yes. In general, children love potty humor. I mean, that's rather there's Captain Underpants and a bunch of other stuff.
And Skibbity Toilet.
But even then, I think this reminds me of the thing that I think that happens to all children is that everybody usually remembers their first movie. Like when you watch movies and TV shows, you watch it uncritically, and you just like it. Or there's sometimes you don't like stuff. And you're like, oh, that's not for me. almost everybody usually has that first movie or show they first realize like, oh wait, I think this is bad.
Ooh.
I don't think this is good.
And you feel like a little betrayed.
You feel betrayed.
Yeah.
And so I feel like for Dolittle, I think yes, as much as there are people that like it, I feel like this was probably in 2020. This is probably for some kids their first when they realize like, especially if they liked Iron Man and they watched a bunch of other stuff, and then probably like there was, I guarantee you there's a 7-year-old kid, 8-year-old kid who was sitting in that theater, and within 10 minutes in they were like, oh, I think this is bad. Now I know what my parents mean when they go to some of these movies and they don't like, and I have to sit here for another hour and a half.
But thankfully, this movie was only an hour and 41 minutes.
Yes.
The first movie was 2 hours and 40.
2 hours and 32 minutes.
He remembers because he was traumatized.
I was. Okay. We should probably wrap this up.
We should wrap this up. I was about to. I just got so off track there. So anyway, Charles, I think everybody's very clear on our stance on this, but as far as remakes are considered, is the 2020 Dr. Dolittle worth watching?
No.
Is it worth existing?
No. I gotta say, like,
yeah.
Is it worth watching? I would say no.
Yeah.
Is it worth existing? Actually, no, because like if everything I've heard is like no one really cared at the end of the day, like no one fought, like
yeah,
like if you told me that people were fighting for different things, if they told me that people really had stuff they liked about it, then I would say yes. But but no one in the production all this time later, like no one says anything that goes like, this was a memorable time of my life.
Yeah, I agree. I think I was very much let down. It was like drinking off-brand Diet Cola. And I saw it. I'm glad I saw the first one to see where everything came from, but I can't say I say the same for this movie. I can just make jokes about dragon butts now. I have that in my repertoire. That's cool. But yeah, I think this is a case where a remake was really disappointing. I think it's a property that could be remade again and done better. So there's possibilities out there. But this movie, it's a big thumbs down from me.
Agreed.
So thank you, Charles, for joining me. Thank you for inviting me here to podcast with you in your dining room. People want to find you, contact you, find you on the social media. How would they do that?
It's just Charles Judson, just Charles Judson. Okay. I don't really post a lot anymore on.
Yeah, you're not really a big social media guy.
Not anymore. I used to be big, but if you want to ever find me, just any combination of that, Charles Judson, Charles.Judson, anything. I just make it super easy.
That works. Do you have anything to promote or throw out there right now?
No, just that we have the Film Impact Georgia crowd rally that's coming. So like if you go to Seed and Spark, we're partnering with Seed and Spark and Trilliff Institute. So like if you crowdfund and you raise $2,500 as a minimum, you qualify to get an extra $5,000 plus mentorship with some really great people that I mentioned in part one. I think
you did.
I did.
I'm glad you brought it full circle.
So I'll mention them again in case you didn't read part one or like it was so long to get here you forgot. So like Angela Barnes, who directed on Ironheart, and James Ponsoldt, who's did Running Point and The Spectacular Now. So it's just a great bunch of people. And then I'm going to put it out in the world. I hope this is going to happen.
Ooh.
That I and a few other people are trying to work with the Sarah Jones Foundation to do a camera day for kids.
Excellent. Yes, I heard about this.
Yes,
I want to be part of it.
Yes, and I just got the proposal from Reimagine ATL because I talked to some people over there to come up with some ideas. It's really fun. Hopefully, if we can pull it off, it's going to be like a little 30-minute segments where kids can come out and they'll learn about camera work and set safety and all the things to honor Sarah Jones, who tragically lost her life, but everybody loved her and trying to keep her memory alive. Mm-hmm. And then one of the things we want to do, if we get to do it at the end, we'll recap everything the kids learned, but we'll also say Sarah's name.
Yeah, I love that. I'm one of 3 organizers of the Atlanta Film Yard Sale. And it's more than just a yard sale. We have people selling their film gear and stuff. We're going to be doing demonstrations. We have companies coming out and representing. But we this year decided to have the Sarah Jones opportunity as our beneficiary. So it's near and dear to our hearts. It's definitely a story that's very much still in our consciousness in Georgia, but also in the film industry as a whole. So safety is important. But thank you so much for telling me all about that. Please, guys, go check out Film Impact Georgia. I will include a link in the show notes so you can click on it right there. It'll also be in the socials. And get that 2,500K together and make you a movie. Let's go.
Let's go.
For the podcast, you can find us on Instagram, Lights, Camera, Remake Podcast. We have a Gmail if you'd like to email me your thoughts, concerns, and movie suggestions, lightscameraremake@gmail.com. You can find me. It's Bridget LaMonica on Instagram. I also have a website, bridgetlamonica.com, where I cover all kinds of filmmaking advice, and you can see my reel. Thank you guys for tuning in, and remember, don't stick a leek where it doesn't belong.